James, you've had a little bit of constructive feedback, haven't you, from a pal of yours?
Yeah, my old boss, Andrew File, used to be New York correspondent, Daily Express, all that. Sitting at home watching the podcast, he says, look, that was great. You know, you and Mark, Martha, David, fantastic. But you've got to stop touching your face. I said, what? He said, yeah, you touch your face. Your thumb's holding up your chin, your fingers on your temple, literally chin stroking.
Yeah, well, you do a lot of that, As you...
I'm doing it now.
There you go.
But as I said to him, the problem would be if I started touching your face, Mark. I'm James Matthews.
And I'm Mark Stone, and we're both sitting here in the Trump 100 studio in Washington, D.C.
I've been to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, Keystone State, key battleground in this year's midterm elections. It's Amish country. It's also Trump territory. That was before prices started to rise. We'll ask how it's all working out for him.
Plus a memorandum of understanding between the Iranians and the Americans, apparently, although I think many others don't understand any of it. It's all very confusing, very contradictory. It's waiting for sign-off from President Trump, apparently. What's it all about? We will get into that.
I keep touching my face, actually. I'm conscious of it now. We will also be looking at Donald Trump. His face is on a US dollar bill coming to a bank near you, or near us, certainly.
Now, David?
Oh dear, don't make that mistake. Everybody does, which is cool. He's a cool guy. But, bald, middle age, interchangeable.
Yeah. There we go. Sorry, James. Let's
I'll
begin. I want to begin in Pennsylvania because I'm dying to know what you found up the road in the Keystone State. Cost of living. They're not the easiest stories to tell, are they? Because they're sometimes quite dry, certainly for a visual audience.
Yeah, the visuals are the problem for us. I think in my
You found some tomatoes.
We did, yeah. We bought some tomatoes. In my career, in terms of trying to illustrate economic stories, because they are all about sums. I was in Scotland once doing minimum pricing for alcohol and bought my own height in lager.
Of course you did.
To, by way of demonstrating how much more expensive that would be. It went down very well.
Very good.
Anyway, yeah, Amish country, Lancaster County, Roots Market, which is a farmer's market in a place called Mannheim. And actually visually very interesting and actually quite stunning. Mist rising off the fields, and being Amish country, of course, horse-drawn carriages and the Amish people who relatively rarely interact with society at large. They are traditional conservative Christians and take a step back from mainstream society. But this is a place where they come to ply their trade. Partly Amish, Lancaster County, largely, in terms of the politics, Republican. They voted Trump at the last 3 elections. So there's the question, how are they coping with rising prices and what is that doing to their political outlook?
Yeah, because of course Donald Trump promised to get prices down, to get inflation down, and that he's not really managed that. In fact, in many ways, the opposite has happened. The oil price, petrol price, the gas price, as they call it here, has soared and people are struggling. And yet, I'm guessing, because I found this a bit elsewhere as well, that people are not blaming the president.
Not the Trump supporters, certainly. Before we get there, Mark, let's just listen to a couple of people about the difficulty they are facing. Jeremy Ballman, he's a Brethren minister, which is Amish adjacent. And, very much not a part of mainstream society. He doesn't have a TV, doesn't vote. He asked where I was from. I said Scotland. He hadn't heard of Scotland. So,
Wowza.
That's Jeremy. We'll hear as well from Steph Sanders, a mother of 5.
You used to be able to go in and get a cartload of groceries, and not bat an eye, but now you've got to be very picky and particular with what you buy. Just the necessities if you're going to have anything left.
Travel, gas, we just try and stay home, try and cut the kids' activities as much as possible, or try and, group our tasks to make sure when we're going somewhere we get everything done in that area that we can at one time.
Steph Sanders there, mother of 5 daughters, actually. She said after the 3rd daughter, her husband said to her, can we not just buy a dog now that's male?
But no, they went on to have 2 more
they did.
daughters. So did you get a sense of their politics? I mean, I'm assuming, given that this is a a place where Trump is popular, there was a lot of support there for him.
There was, yeah. Jeremy and Steph, they actually eschewed politics. Steph, she said she was a conservative Republican, but actually didn't vote, didn't want to get involved, her view was a plague on both their houses. I spoke to two Trump voters, Sharia and Jim. Jim didn't give me his second name. He said he didn't want his Cadillac to get scratched. But listen to them when I asked if Donald Trump was to blame for all of this.
Whatever this guy says do, I'm in. The only one I trust.
It's costing you more.
I don't care. I'd rather pay more than be pulverized by an atom bomb. I don't mind the money. It's only money.
We focus on all the things that are wrong, but look how much good he's done now. With
Like
the
what?
tariffs and all of that, and getting all of the money back to our country where it belongs.
Tariffs haven't delivered yet, at least.
You don't think?
Well, tariffs are part of the problem, no?
Yeah, well, I don't know.
So there you go, Mark. Both Sharia and Jim, they acknowledged that prices were up. Neither blamed Donald Trump, standing by their man, chiming with the language of the administration. It's justification for the pain, this threat of an Iranian nuclear attack. There will be comfort in hearing that for Republicans, the administration, but I think political loyalty only runs so far. Ultimately, people who need change will vote for change.
You said Jeremy doesn't have a television. I'm willing to guess that Jim does, and that he listens to or watches a lot of Fox News, because hearing what he was saying there, I mean, those are the talking points of the administration, aren't they? That prices might be going up, and Donald Trump said it as he boarded the helicopter at the White House on the South Lawn a couple of weeks ago. He basically said, I'm not thinking about people's back pockets. I'm not thinking about their finances, because my overall driver is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. And, Jim basically repeated that.
You're right, Mark. And, I think one thing to bear in mind is that this market, we were surrounded by people with money to spend, people in business, people keeping their head above water. In society, there is, of course, a layer of people beneath that who don't necessarily have the wherewithal to scrape a living, for whom life has become about survival, and it's becoming increasingly more difficult.
And you can all watch James's report on this weekend, right?
That's right, yep. Saturday, running throughout the day on all Sky News platforms.
There you go. So, James, we need to talk about Iran again, though frankly it's becoming increasingly an entirely pointless exercise trying to analyse the flip-flopping, the U-turning, the contradictions that continue to emerge from the White House.
The pointlessness, I think, emphasised by Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary. He gave the media briefing today, didn't he? And I don't know about you, Mark, but to me it looked like a hostage situation.
He's not very comfortable in this situation,
no.
is he? And he's not like J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. I mean, he's not a politician. It's worth reminding people that. He is a man that's come from the finance world and brought in as an expert in all things economy. But he's not comfortable at the podium.
No, and he didn't have the material to play with. I mean, he was being asked all the right questions. Number one, is there a deal with Iran? That's what we are being told by officials from the administration, or a deal certainly on the table. They're waiting for it to be rubber stamped by Donald Trump. But we couldn't get answers from Scott Bessent, the member of the government presented at the media briefing, which is an occasion to address the key questions of the day. And, he presented a position no more certain than it has been for weeks. We are told it's Trump's judgment call. I'm not sure what confidence we can have in that judgment, the judgment of who he's dealing with, what to do next, where it will take him.
Yeah, I have to be honest, I left that briefing more confused, not less, not for the first time, it has to be said. Through the morning, the leaks then confirmed by the White House were that a tentative agreement had been reached between the Americans and the Iranians, and that it was now to be signed off by President Trump. Axios, the news organization out here, had been reporting that President Trump had wanted a couple of days to think about this deal that had been done in principle, tentative by the negotiators on both sides.
Yeah, Donald Trump playing for time, but of course time is not on his side.
Yeah, because, the folk you spoke to in places like Pennsylvania, they may not be very worried yet, but we know that there are people who are about the cost of living, and that will only become a bigger concern. But you know what? Here's the crucial thing in terms of the deal that we were getting a little clarity on over the course of the day, that the deal on the table is only a deal to agree a 60-day extension to the ceasefire and to sign a memorandum of understanding, which would be commitments. That memorandum would be a commitment to talk about the more thorny issues, the nuclear question. So this isn't a deal to end the war and that everything is suddenly all sorted. Absolutely not. It is just a deal to begin the process to talk about the difficult issues. All good, except that Besant, as you say, who was the man sent to articulate the president's position, well, he then contradicted that, saying, in fact, that the deal won't be signed unless the president believes that it contains his demands on the nuclear issue, his red lines, no enrichment, the demand to hand over the nuclear material as well. So on one hand, we've got Besant saying there's only a deal if all of that is in it. And on the other hand, we're being told that actually this is a deal to discuss those issues. Very, very confusing. Have a listen to this exchange.
I'm wondering if you can just confirm on the record that there is a tentative deal that has been agreed for a 60-day extension of the ceasefire and then a continuation of nuclear talks.
Again, it's always a mistake to get out ahead of the president, so it is all going to be the president's decision. I think that we can see that the president very clearly stated his three: the open the strait, highly enriched uranium, no nuclear program. So
are those things part of the temporary deal right now, sir? Are those three aspects that you just outlined part of the temporary deal that has been agreed?
that if there can be no deal without those, why would there be a deal without those?
Mark, it could hardly be more serious, and yet you wouldn't know it to look at the government's social media game. The State Department, well, it's been putting out a glitzy post for the birthday of Secretary of State Marco Rubio. A salute to his DJ skills. What else?
You're DJing. You're not ready for my DJing.
There you go. This is a government getting its feet wet on matters of world importance. And yet it's posting on social media, I think, to reinforce a swagger that it wants but hasn't necessarily earned. It's the case for winning. They want to present to the domestic audience, literally, I think, the mood music for Trump's case for victory, which he has yet to build, of course.
Yeah, it's not the only bizarre thing concerning the administration this week. Plans are ratcheting up for America 250, of course, the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. And this also happens to coincide with the birthday of one Donald J. Trump, who turns 80 next month.
Yeah, he does. And all you can see right now at the White House is what's a mixture of construction and demolition. Have you seen it, Mark?
I have. It
looks from above.
Yeah, it looks a little bit like a sort of alien spacecraft has landed on the South Lawn, doesn't it?
Looks like the extension that you're waiting to be built behind your house. But yeah, the East Wing demolished, cranes, concrete everywhere, the White House grounds dug up, and now there's this big arch dwarfing the White House. It will be the UFC cage fighting arena.
I mean, it's absolutely huge. It's much bigger than the mansion that is the White House itself. It's temporary, of course, an enormous metal thing. It's the only way of describing it, really, on the South Lawn. It will be a 4,000-person capacity space all ready for this big UFC fight on Trump's birthday on June the 14th. I'm also having to do a bit of homework on UFC because I'm going to be on that weekend, so I'll be at the White House for this event. You're going to be at a World Cup game, I think, aren't you?
Well, I'm following Scotland, yes, so it's not going to be me versus you in the UFC cage, Mark.
No, it's not.
I'll save my Speedos for another occasion.
Oh, good God. Anyway, we digress. And on the other side of the road, the big Freedom 250 music concert announced on Wednesday already had what people thought was a comically bad lineup. It's got worse, though, hasn't it?
It has, yeah. And young MC, one half of Milli Vanilli, because one of them's died, C&C Music Factory, and Morris Day and The Time have already pulled out.
I've never heard of any of them. Is
I
that
haven't
really
heard of
bad?
either
Okay,
of
good.
them. But
Which generation are they appealing to?
well, goodness knows. It has to be the younger generation.
Okay.
The Gen Zers. the Gen Zers, the embarrassing ones. But we are left with Flo Rida and
Yep.
Bret Michaels.
Yep.
They're still in. But, it's hardly the best of America.
Oh, dear. One person who will not be at this concert is the boss, Bruce Springsteen. Not a fan of President Trump. Or you remember a little while ago he released a single all about Minneapolis and the struggles there over immigration and the ICE raids. He really does not like President Trump one little bit. He has announced a rival music concert to celebrate what he calls hope with the Foo Fighters, Joan Baez and Rage Against the Machine. Already a much more illustrious cast, I'd say.
I'm with you on that. Now, from the sublime to the ridiculous, some would say, Donald Trump's face is going to be plastered all over dollar bills.
Yeah, you're going to have him in your back pocket. Although maybe you're not carrying two $50
See what you
bills.
did there. Yes, chance would be a fine thing.
Yes, that is the news that President Trump, who we've heard for some time wanted to be on one of the dollar bills, he is set, if Congress agrees, to be on the $250 bill. So Besant's signature underneath a portrait of President Trump. Can you believe it?
Well, I can. I absolutely can.
Yeah, administration officials have been pushing for some time for the $250 bill to have the president's face on. And it seems they've made a breakthrough by reassigning, get this, the director of the Bureau of Engraving and Printing Staff, the agency responsible for printing the notes. She had pushed back against the administration, saying there were legal issues with the issuing of a new note and that it would take years to happen. So what did they do? They moved her on.
That's how they roll. That's how heads roll. This would be the first appearance of a living person on US currency in 150 years. $100 bills, they're already being printed with the president's signature on them. That is also unprecedented. Never before has a dollar bill had the sitting president signing it. But these are being printed right now in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, it's worth saying there is still a hurdle for this to jump before it actually happens. Congress has to decide whether they can change the rules to allow for a living person to appear on a banknote. But given that the Republicans currently control both houses, that could well happen.
And as for the public's response, well, we've heard from one Hillary Clinton, who, of course...
Hardly objective.
True. Speaking about the $258 note, she wrote on X, by the end of Trump's term, it will be just enough to buy 1 gallon of gas and a carton of eggs. She's still got it.
Bet she was pleased with that one.
Slightly tongue-in-cheek, maybe, but there is a legitimate question there as people struggle across the United States. Scott Bessent was asked at this media briefing about the story that was first made public by the Washington Post.
Politically, it's a good idea to put his face on a $250 bill when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries.
I don't really understand this Washington Post article. That who hears from the Post? Yep, terribly written, terribly edited. Because basically, what it says is that Treasury is following the law, and that we've created the bill, and that it's up to Congress, but that we follow the bill and it's up to. I didn't really understand what the story was.
So,
but anyway.
Aren't involved in that, 2 of your political appointees?
Yeah, of course, but we prepare for everything if it gets passed. Just like we were ready 6 months in advance for the one big beautiful bill for tax guidance. So we have to prepare in advance. You can't draw something up the day before.
Politically, do you think it's a good idea though when people are struggling to afford gas and groceries?
Look, I think it has. I think that it's bifurcated. Do you think we should have a 250th anniversary, the celebration?
Well, that's happening anyway, but putting the president's face on a $250 bill is a choice.
But Caitlin, it's not happening anyway. It's happening because it's being funded by private citizens, by the federal government, by state governments, by municipal governments to celebrate our country. And I don't think that there's anything untoward about having the President of the United States, the person who was President of the United States, on the 250th anniversary bill.
I don't know about you, James, but I kind of feel like more than any other country I've lived in, this is a kind of a cashless society now. Everything seems to be swipe or touch, or are you a man who carries cash?
Well,
Maybe you are.
Actually, I've got cash in my pocket because to go back to Roots Market, the Amish, they operate only in cash. My old friend Jeremy, we bought some knickknacks. Actually, that's what he did. He made kind of 3D printing stuff, and we bought stress relievers. So you can press these things in your hand and they click and they stress everybody else out, but they're good for you. Anyway,
you also managed to get a selfie with all these folks who do not like technology. You managed to put a phone in their face and take a picture.
Well,
they look like they enjoyed it.
Not sure they knew what a selfie was. They'll know if they watch on Saturday. But Jeremy was only taking cash, so as it happens, I've got some change in my pocket.
Not a $250 bill.
No.
Anyway, well, thanks for listening. Have a great weekend, everyone. Comments and questions and any more feedback for James, the chin stroker, you know where to go. Trump100 at sky.uk.
Yeah, thanks very much indeed for watching and for listening. All the best.
Bye-bye.